Technology moves us forward. Technology creates new possibilities, possibilities that we didn't even think were possible. Technology just makes life easier, but technology can also make harmful things easier. Easier to get distracted and to form addictions. Easier to make enemies and to kill. Technology changes the way that we live for better or for worse. Technology changes the way that we worship for better or for worse. It changes the way that we study the Bible and the way that we fellowship. It changes the way that we sing praises to God and the way that we minister to others. We are surrounded by technology. When I say technology, I don't just mean devices. I'm not just talking about phones and computers and things that require electricity or battery and have wires and computer chips. I mean any kind of technology, any form of new innovation and inventions. That's what I mean when I say technology. And technology has always been a thing. It has always been around. As soon as God created humans here on earth, we began making things and creating things and inventing things and coming up with technology. Of course, the first piece of technology, and maybe it's a stretch to call it technology, but kind of the first time we see this is with clothing, right? Adam and Eve, they eat of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and they realize they're naked and they have to cover themselves up. And of course, we know that they fashioned themselves some clothes made out of leaves, and then they move on to animal skin and different things like that as people figured new ways out. And of course, now we have our modern clothes that we wear today made out of all different types of materials. But in the Bible, we see clothing come about and be invented. In Genesis chapter 4, it mentions someone named Jubal, whose children were known for playing musical instruments, the lyre and the pipes. And so the stringed instrument and piped instruments. And today we still have and still use and listen to instruments based on those instruments back then that's mentioned in Genesis chapter 4, right there near the beginning of everything. It also mentions Tubal Cain, who forged instruments of bronze and iron. So there in just Genesis chapter 4, we read about new technology. In Genesis chapter 41, we first read about a chariot. And we read about chariots mostly from the Egyptians at the beginning. And so we read about chariot for the first time in Genesis chapter 41. Chariots were a huge deal back then. They were huge. They were kind of like their cars back then, but it wasn't like now where almost everybody has a car. Back then, not many had chariots. But these chariots, they were used to get from one place to another and just for travel, but they were also used during battles. And if someone had a chariot during battle, they had a huge upper hand. So we can read a lot about chariots and how big of a deal they were in Exodus and in Joshua. In Exodus, God gives instructions to his people to build a tabernacle, which is this huge tent made for the purpose of worshiping God. This tabernacle, again, it was massive, and it needed to be broken down and be traveled with and then set back up. And this tabernacle required the latest technology back then. It required the latest technology at that time. And in chapter 31, God even tells Moses about men who had these special abilities that God gave them, these special abilities and knowledge and intelligence when it came to building things and designing things. And they had new ways to work with, it says, work with gold and silver and bronze. They had new ways to cut rock, to cut stone, and to carve wood. And they did all that so that they could be used to help build this tabernacle. Again, this technology was being used. In Second Chronicles chapter 26, we read about Uzziah, with the help of skillful men, invented these machines. It says they invented these machines to go at the corners of the city and up in towers, and they would shoot arrows at their enemies, and they would be able to toss these large stones at their enemies if someone came to try to attack the city. And so they had these great war machines that shot these arrows, and many speculate that they probably rapid fired the arrows, much like maybe we would think of a machine gun today. In the New Testament, one of the things that made Rome, who had practically taken over the whole world, or the whole known world at the time, what made them so great, one of the things that made them so powerful, was their innovative systems of roads, of their roads to walk on, to ride horses and chariots down, throughout the city of Rome, but also throughout the territories that they conquered. They had this very unique way of building roads back then. And in fact, Rome was so far ahead in its time with its invention of their roads and a grid type system, that our roads today are actually modeled in a very similar manner to what the Romans did back then. Rome also, as we know, they invented new types of punishment, like the whip and the crucifixion cross. Their whip was cut into small strips, and those small strips there were small pieces of bone and broken pottery tied in there, so that whenever they would whip somebody, that it would rip their skin to really maximize the pain. Of course, the cross is still known to this day as one of the most cruel deaths anybody could ever suffer. Of course, we know it involved the nails in the wrist and in the ankles to be nailed to these big pieces of wood, and the people would be hung on the cross, and they would be up there for all to see. It was humiliating, and then they would be bleeding, they would be in pain from the nails, but eventually they would die from asphyxiation or suffocation. And so, as I said in the opening of the video, it's clear that through all of these examples, it's clear how technology can be used for good, but it can also be used for bad. Even the same piece of technology could be used for both good and bad. And this hasn't changed today. I mean, how great is it that we can access information so quickly, right? I can remember growing up, I would always hear the phrase from my parents or family members. They would say, man, I really wish I had a camera right now. But we don't really use that phrase anymore, because more often than not, we have a camera with us with our phones that I'm recording this on right now. How great is it that we can keep in touch with our friends and family from long distance, or even during quarantine? How great is it that you can get on YouTube and watch videos of me talking? Maybe that's not so great, but you can get on YouTube and entertain yourself and listen to music and watch movies and learn how to do things, and it really is incredible. How great is it that we have cars to be able to get us places quickly? We have airplanes and boats to travel by. We even have vehicles meant for recreation and just to have fun on. And I can go on and on about all of the technology that we use every day. Really, almost everything that you use has been invented, and at some point in time, whatever it is, it was the latest and greatest piece of technology. But again, technology can be used for good and it can be used for bad. How scary can technology be? How scary is it that we can access information so quickly and even get so much false information? How scary is it that we have almost forgotten how to just enjoy the moment without having to take a picture of it? How sad is it to see all of the arguments and rudeness happening on social media? How scary is it that we can get so easily access to websites and movies and shows and music that maybe we shouldn't have anything to do with. How sad is it that instead of using our modern means of travel to help people and to maybe visit people, so often we waste our time going to places that maybe we don't have to go to, and while we're going to these places to have fun or whatever it is, we refuse to give people a ride that may really need it. Here's my challenge for all of you, and here's my challenge even for myself, because I don't do a near good enough job of this, to start using my technology for good, to start using your technology for good. If there are things that maybe you're involved with online, whether it's porn or maybe it's just inappropriate movies or music, cut that out of your life. Find people to encourage you. Surround yourself with people to encourage you to get those things out of your life. Get on your social media. Maybe you've posted a picture, or maybe you've used a caption that a Christian maybe shouldn't be posting. Delete it. And let's start using our social media sites for good. And that's my big challenge to you is to really start using our social media for good. The ancient biblical manuscripts, the ancient writings of the Bible that people have discovered and dug up from dirt and found in caves and have created our Bible by putting all of these together. All of that were written on what was back then a new technology using papyrus, which was kind of like this thick paper made out of reeds. And they would use a type of dye or ink to write on it. And back then that was the new technology, and they used it to literally write the first copies of the Bible. Then came parchment, and then came types of paper that we have similar to that today. But then came, of course, the printing press. And maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but the first book ever printed on the printing press to quickly produce these books, so people weren't having to handwrite them or anything. It was the Bible. That was the first book ever produced through the printing press. Just like those ancient ways of writing were used to further the good news of Jesus, let's decide today that we're going to use our ways of writing to talk about God and to teach people about Christ. Again, join me in sending texts of encouragement to your friends and family. Let's fill our Snapchats and our TikToks and Instagrams and Twitters, and for all you old people, your Facebooks with Bible verses and Christian messages. Now, back in the day, the Apostle Paul, to keep in touch with his Christian brothers and sisters, he had to send letters that were written by hand and then sent by foot and by boats that were powered by sails. But today we just have to click our phones or our keyboards a few times and we're done. I'm going to try to do a better job of letting my light shine through social media, and I hope that you join me in doing that. If you aren't already, make sure that you're following our youth group Instagram, and that you're a part of our youth group chat. If you do go to the Rocky Creek Church of Christ, make sure that you're part of that group chat. Again, everybody, make sure you're following our youth ministry Instagram page. You can follow my personal one too, but I'll have the youth group one in the comments of this video, so that you can copy and paste that and find us on Instagram. And again, I'm going to try to do a better job of this, and I hope that you join me. Again, let's fill our social medias with Christ, with messages about God and the good news that He brings. Let's let all of our followers know that we are Christians and just what we stand for. We serve such an awesome God, such a loving God. Let's tell everybody. Let's let everybody know and let our light shine through our technology. I'm glad that you've watched this video. I hope that you can follow through with these challenges. I hope I can follow through with these challenges. Again, I miss y'all. I hope to see y'all soon. Continue to stay safe. Take care of yourselves. In case you've forgotten, don't forget, this ain't no deadgum travel ball. And again, I hope to see y'all soon.